Hey guys, Jay here. So I want to make this video basically clarifying a couple of points about the current build that I'm playing. So I will play on this map, right? There's four things on it. It's tier 15, so it kind of resembles top tier gameplay, right? It's a little bit, there's an event nearby, so please do excuse me some random noises. But anyway, I will play this map in two modes. So the first one is going to be pure zero button build, which means I will disable all of my buttons here, control, disable everything. So you will see I have no button, and I am going to do, a part of this map, and then I will put back on my spark, my active spark, and then I will show you the difference. All right. So you can see right now in the previous video, right? I did leave a lot of buttons in my skill bar, even though I technically do not use them. But it seems like it caused some like misunderstanding that I was using them. I thought that the fact that I don't have any cast animation because I don't use anything should be clear enough, but apparently it is not. So let's do the breach here. And you'll see this is pretty crazy even without any button pressed, right? It is, in fact, pretty crazy. You can kind of see here, right? The more monster, the better the build is. It kind of shine in like a lot of monster situation like this one. Okay, I should probably try to run toward the other side, which will have a lot more monster that spawn already. Hopefully it will be in time. Hopefully. Okay, there's a little bit here. Maybe it's not a lot. Alright. But anyway, you can see the clear, right? This is the clear without any button. So without any button for map clear, it is absolutely fine. It is actually quite good, I would say. So comparatively, for this budget, the total amount of money that I have spent on this character is not even enough to buy like a average Archmage mana stacking wand that people normally use for their Archmage build in the end game, by the way. Less than 15 divine in everything. And now I will put back on the spark. Right, this is going to be the only button that I'm going to use. I have a lot of active skill that I can use because I was testing and trying to see, which one I like the most for like a single target situation. But it is what it is. Now, right now, normally if I'm lazy, I will not press anything. But if I don't feel too lazy, I will press a spark like once every like 10 seconds or so. When I move to a new screen and I don't see a lot of spark there already, I will press the button once. And yeah, basically once every 10, maybe even more, 20, 30 seconds, whatever the amount the time that required. So you will see if there is no spark on the screen here, I will press one spark, maybe two, just to start things. Because if there's a lot of monster close to each other, the chain reaction will go off like basically infinite. You have way too much damage on the screen in the form of spark that yeah, you don't need to cast anything or do anything. But I want to keep this button here because the playstyle of face tanking in high tier map is a little bit dangerous. Normally you will not die. Like 99 out of 100 times you will not die. But the one time that you die to a random something, you will lose a lot of experience. And I don't like that. You will lose the map as well. At least you will lose the rest of the map, right? So I don't really like that. And so just basically getting another button in here, just basically change the playstyle to, you have options. Sure, you can face tank if you want, but also, oh, nice. Two bosses. And for single target, obviously, because we trigger spark on kill, right? So normally for single target, we don't have anything to trigger on. For example, these two bosses, we need to wait for them to spawn the apps to even trigger all the spark on kill, which will sucks. So better just have a button to actually deal with them, right? And this is just like an example. I am not using all the stuff that I can use, by the way. Obviously, I only use one button as an example. So obviously, the single target damage can be so much higher with more skill, with more gear, with whatever you can imagine, really. And yeah, so this is what I want to show, right? This build is not limited to being a one button or zero button play style. It can be both, it can be more, but mainly I just want to prove that if you want to have a lazy playstyle, pretty much like a zero button build, you can. You can use this setup to get the zero button. Arctic Armor. This is a spell. It is a spirit buff, but it is also a spell. You can see the tag here, right? Mana Flare Support. It is also a spell. It triggers the Mana Flare when the socketed skill that you link it to, the supported skill, critical. And Mana Flare deals damage based on 20% of your current mana. So as you scale mana, you have a lot of mana. You have a lot of damage with Mana Flare. And as you scale, you also have a lot of extra damage for every single spell that you have, including Arctic Armor and including Mana Flare. So this actually deals a good enough, if not actually a very, very good amount of damage. The Mana Flare and the Arctic Armor can deal a very good amount of damage. And a very large part of it is actually lightning damage. The base damage here is cold, the base damage here is fire, but because of Archmage, they have those as the base damage, but then they got a lot of extra lightning damage on top of it. That is why it has a lot of lightning damage, and that is why it can shock, and it can kill enemy. When it kills a shocked enemy, it will trigger Spark. Earthbound Voltaic Staff here. Right now, it is falling for my level. I'm not sure. I think at level 90 I will get another socket here. I'm not even sure exactly, but maybe that is the case, but we don't need any more actually. What you want to have in here, Forcing Current. This is very good for map clear because this is literally just for map clear, right? On kill effect, mostly for map clear. So Forcing Current is for spreading the shock. Persistent is for the duration of the spark. Why? Because it travel, if it is longer duration, it travel further. And then you have Control Destruction and Considered Casting. This is just my more multiplier. This is not even needed. You can use other support gem here, but mainly Persistent and Coursing Current is very good, I think. Why don't I put Acceleration in here? Because the movement speed of my own character is too slow. If I put it, I actually tested. I put the, where is the spark? The spark that I have is here. Let me just put it up here. So, yeah, so it's so it's easier to show. All right. So I used to put acceleration in here, and it's just cut off the chain reaction when I try to move along with the spark. Why? Because the spark moves too fast, it go off screen, and when something go off screen in POE2, it seems like everything just doesn't interact with each other. It just basically get lost. So you want the spark from the trigger here to move at a relative speed to your own character. So this is just perfect. The basic speed here is just perfect. A little bit of speed on the skill tree, I will show you in a little bit, but this is perfect. Don't put acceleration in here, it will feel worse. You have so many spark, and they spawn from the corpses, from the enemy, so you don't even need to have like quick travel time, because normal spark you trigger from your character. It needs to move to enemy. But if it spawned from an enemy, it will hit the enemy next to it immediately. So this is the setup for trigger spark. And then for the normal spark right now, I think inspiration is very good for spamming it, so you don't you have way less mana. I am using overcharge and acceleration. I will probably keep this setup for 6-link, arcane tempo, and arcane surge. So for single target, I can have a lot more. I am having ideas for it already, but I am not having enough currency. So right now I only have 1 divine left, maybe like 2 divine. If we count everything, I can liquidate a little bit more into get like 2 divine, but I need 3. Why? There is a Grand Spectrum gem that gives you 2% spirit per Grand Spectrum, and you can have 3 of them, which means each of the Grand Spectrum is going to give you 6% of increased spirit. So 3 of them is going to be 18%. 18% of this amount. It actually will give you enough to get cast on shock, and then I can use cast on shock and link lightning conduit into it. I don't like casting lightning conduit. It is super slow. It feels really horrible to cast. So I really want to put lightning conduit on cast on shock. It is not something new. Yeah, I know that. Maybe I can just sacrifice a little bit of mana. I can just remove this one. I can buy an Alpha's Howl that is going to save the solve the problem as well. So maybe I'll look into that. So it will probably cut off my mana by quite a lot. 6.5, almost 6.6k. Yeah, 5.6k. So 1,000 mana for this one single item. So I'll see. I'll see what I can do because it really is just the act of like balancing. Right now, I actually am enjoying the like one button spark playstyle a little bit more than just walking and AFK. Sometimes it feels good, but you know, normally it feels bad. But normally, you know, it is more risky. It doesn't feel bad, but it is more risky. That is what I mean. So if we opt for a one button playstyle with a spark, so you cast spark, you trigger the like chain reaction with spark, so like you will clear the map very nicely, but you don't need Arctic armor. So what can you do here? I would want, first of all, obviously cast on shock for single target, but if I can have more, by the way, maybe I can use Alpha's Howl, maybe I can use the tech to improve the effect of overwhelming presence. So what is overwhelming presence? Overwhelming presence, let me find one here. This is overwhelming presence. It reduces enemies elemental element threshold and stun threshold. So what does this do? The hidden thing here is this is actually an aura, and you can improve the effect of this one. So you can potentially reduce this one, the effect of it, into like Oblivion. You can have a lot of aura effect. How can you have it? Well, you can have aura effect in jewels, and people can use like adorned jewels to get a insane amount of this one to get the effect of overwhelming presence into close to 100%. I think I learned this from, there's a video that I watched earlier today at work, right? I admit it. I watch, I listen to videos in the background when I'm at work. It's Sunday, right? So there is a tech that can improve that, the reduced threshold to like 99%. And that basically just means you instantly shock, ignite, freeze, stun enemy, pretty much. So if we can use that tech to a degree, we don't need to go all the way to like 99%. We can just like have like 50% or something. It will just be a very significant impact on the build. And if we're using Alpha's Howl, the presence radius is going to be double, which means we basically, normally, right, the presence area is a little bit bigger if I stand like right in the middle of the waypoint here, of the ass here, right? The radius is going to be around this much, so around the radius of this butt, right? But if you have double, it basically cover this much, because it double the range of it. So it is just so much bigger, and it just cover a very big area. And so everything got hit in that area is pretty much just going to be shock, stun, you know, whatever you come up with. And yeah, it overall, I think it would just be very, very nice. So at least that is the plan. So right now I need to farm a little bit more. I need to grind a little bit more. I need to, you know, get rich so I can actually improve this character. So at least that is the plan. The skill tree is a little bit changed from previously. I am getting toward the next level to get this point. So what changed? So I got out of a couple of mana recovery points. So I don't need this one anymore, I feel like. And actually, I don't need it. And I spec out of this one as well. I do spec out of this point as well because it seems like not efficient enough for me. So what I got instead is I got everything in here. So the shock chance and shock magnitude is, I think, is very good. And then I got penetration. I got penetration here, and I got penetration here. I am going to get level 88 very, very soon, as you can see here, almost level 88, and I will get this point. And when I get this point, I basically ignore enemy resistances. It is not as strong as cursing them and then exposing them and an increased effect of those curses and exposure, but it's very convenient and it just works all the time. So I really, really enjoy penetration, and I think I've made a good choice here just overall. And I will take this point. And then other than that, I also took out the triggered spell deals damage here because I don't feel like this triggered spark needs more damage. It is clearing very well in tier 15 already. So I don't need extra increased damage here. Then I take spell damage here, which is still damage, but you know, projectile speed and projectile speed. And then I also take effect duration, effect duration, effect duration. So this is very good for Spark. Insanely good for Spark, actually. So overall, this character, I would say, is still very good, right? We still have 90% fire resistant, 81% cold, and 79% lightning, which is very good, immune to chaos, and very decent mana pool for EHP. So that's everything. I will keep updating on the character. I think I'm pretty close to a point where I am happy to actually create like a full build guide videos of some sort, but right now I am pretty happy with the character overall. But I still see quite a few things that I can improve for not that much more money. So I will cap the budget for the build guide version at least at like 20 divine, which means I still have like 5 more divine to spend, maybe a little bit more, because I have always been very conservative with, you know, recording how much money I spend on builds. That's because I want people, if you know, watch the video and want to follow the build, you should be able to replicate it with at least the similar amount of currency. So yeah, overall, right now 15 divine-ish, and feels pretty good. I really enjoyed it. For mapping, I would say right now I am in more favor again of the casting spark like every 10-20 seconds, and then just run along with the spark, because it will clear everything. It will trigger new spark, it will clear everything, it will trigger new spark, it will clear everything, rinse and repeat. So I think that overall is just very, very nice, very safe. Since I switched to that playstyle, I immediately stopped dying and just get more experience. Before that, I was trying to test out the face tank. It does get some experience, but I randomly die in like tier 13 and above. In tier 12 and below, pretty much I never die to anything except for the mana burn donut thingy, the mana siphoner. So yeah, watch out for those. And the playstyle here, if you spark away from your character, you pretty much kill every mana siphoner before they get to you. So yeah, overall, I just want to lay it out there. If you really want to play as a pure AFK mana auto spark like this one, the mechanic of the build is the same. But in my humble opinion, you will need a lot more money to be safe, because you will need the unique mana flask to instantly recover your mana in like very sketchy situation. For example, you get burned mana by the mana siphoner, or also you will need, I would say, at least like 10k. This is just a very rough estimation, you will need at least like 10k mana. There is no question about it, because yeah, you will stop getting one-shotted by random things in maps. And if you want to do harder content, AFK, faith tanking style, you will need even more mana. Right now, I think the highest mana number that I've seen is from 1 mana left, Connor Converse. His Gemling Legionnaire is like 18k mana. I'm not sure, 16 or 18, but it is an insane amount of mana, but also an insane amount of investment into the character as well. So this is still maybe very, very cheap. If you look for like a standard +5 mana cast speed, spell damage wand that people use for their Archmage build, you will see the price tag of that one single item, or literally any other slot, a like good piece of gear for any other slot of the build, of the mana stacking build, is going to be more expensive, if not way more expensive, than this entire character that I've put together here on the screen. The entire thing. Alright, so enough rambling. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please consider to leave a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this or not like this. You know, hey, I just want to share my stuff. So thanks for watching, and see you next one. Peace.